The Toronto Blue Jays pulled off a gutsy win against the Houston Astros just 24 hours after getting blown out 9-2 in game 1 of a 3-game set. They were propelled by a great start from Chris Bassitt and another unbelievable performance out of Matt Chapman. So we'll break that down and much more on this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, we're glad to be bringing you a reaction of a win today for the Toronto Blue Jays. We acknowledge that yesterday was a one-off, and you're probably going to have to see those a couple more times throughout the rest of the regular season, and it happens. It happens to the best teams in a 162-game regular season, but today was a much better bounce-back performance by the Toronto Blue Jays, and hopefully this video does well as well, and I want to thank you for all the support that we've gotten.
Yeah, and like I said yesterday, we were hoping that today's video is going to be more upbeat than yesterday's, and it ended up being so. And before we do get the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 7K, and your support's been unbelievable, like you said. And let's just get into it. The Blue Jays had a great bounce back today. They did unbelievable. The pitching was phenomenal, which we'll touch more on in a minute. But regarding the hitting today, Peter, they bounced back really well after going fairly silent yesterday. What did you see out of them that was impressive today? There were a few notables. We have some videos to show you, but what impressed you the most before we get into all that?
The major talking point over the last week or so has been that the Toronto Blue Jays are not hitting home runs and they're not pulling the baseball. But today they did that. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. got off the schneid. He went, I think, maybe, 10 games without a home run. So he finally got one today. Matt Chapman hit another one, and we'll break down his performance more in depth. But that was just an absolute laser from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So those two shots from those two hot hitters of the Toronto Blue Jays got everything started. And then you had just those heads-up baseball plays, the hit and run with Whit Merrifield and Brandon Belt on a 2-strike count. That caught everyone off guard, including myself. And it was just a well-executed ball game from start to finish, whether it be pitching, whether it be offense. They manufactured runs. They looked good while doing so, and I mentioned this to you off camera, Nick. I was never worried throughout that whole game, and even though it got close towards the end there with Jordan Romano coming in and Meza not being able to get out of that 8th inning, I felt confident that the Jays were going to pull this one out because they looked locked in, and the attention to detail was just off the charts today.
Yeah, and like I showed you a couple clips there, the hit and run, which I'll pop up again to give a shout out, was something you obviously wanted to include, and it was one of the most impressive things I've seen in a while from John Schneider and whoever called it, because Brandon Belt is not a good runner. Whit Merrifield hit and run worked perfectly, and what a gutsy play.
On a 0-2 count.
Yeah,
also.
what a gutsy play, wow. And it just goes to show that today's game, and I texted you this off camera, was just one of the cleanest the Blue Jays have played, both offensively, defensively, and pitching, which is funny, because it's the polar opposite to yesterday's game. And like you said, Vlad got on the board with the home run. Matt Chapman as well with the home run. Kirk got a hit. Merrifield had another bounce-back game. He brought his average almost up now to 300. He's been doing unbelievable. And Espinal got a hit as well, which is encouraging. Springer continues to scuffle a little bit. But again, yesterday he could have easily had 3 home runs, so it all works out. But overall, a very well-needed bounce-back game, and one that is against a really good Houston Astros team.
Yeah, the Astros are a great team. They got a great lineup as well. And once Jose Altuve gets back in there, you're pretty sure that they're the favorite in the American League, at least the way it stands right now. But the Blue Jays, great bounce back performance, and I wasn't worried after yesterday's game. I was just more so looking to see how they would bounce back, and they showed a lot of guts and determination in this game. They could have easily folded when the Astros started to make a comeback, but they showed a lot of heart and they pulled it out, and I'm glad they did, because the Jays have not been able to go on a streak. You know, they've won 2 in a row, then they've lost 2 in a row, and it's tough when you're not at home, when you're starting the season against these good teams. It's not an easy position to be in, but hopefully the Jays can gather some momentum and start to win some games in succession here.
Yeah, and speaking of gathering momentum, let's get right into it now. Chris Bassitt carves up the Astros, and what a game for Chris Bassitt, and someone who started off the season very, very cold, like a lot of our starters, and this is his second very solid start in a row, and we'll touch on the other pitchers as well, but you can see here he went 6 1/3, giving up just 3 hits against, albeit an injured, a very loaded Houston Astros lineup. 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, and you said it before the game, and we touched on this in the broadcast. Bassitt pitched very, very well to the Houston Astros in the past, besides Jordan Alvarez. What did you see out of him tonight? Every pitch was working, his command was there, and his velocity was up to 95.
Well, let me rephrase that. So I said he's had some success against those in the lineup for
Yes, yeah.
today, except for Yordan Alvarez, who he ended up neutralizing pretty well, actually, which was nice to see. But Chris Bassitt actually has an 8 career ERA against the Houston Astros, and that's what Buck Martinez mentioned, because he spent some time with the Oakland Athletics, and he had 4 starts at Minute Maid Park, and they did not go very well. So today was, something that maybe we were not expecting against a very good lineup, but as just a baseball fan and a Blue Jays fan in general, what a pitching performance. Like that was just art. That was art right there from Chris Bassitt. And we've said that his command's not where it needed to be early on, and he's gotten consistently better with each and every start. Only 1 walk today, and that was a big problem for him in his first 3 starts. But man, he looked locked in today. The velocity was good, the movement on all of his pitches, and he was in a great rhythm from start to finish, and great outing that was desperately needed out of Chris Bassitt.
Yeah, it was very, very good and very well needed. The bullpen's been getting a lot of work recently, Trevor Richards and even Zach Pop and all that. But speaking of the bullpen today, we had Yimi Garcia go 1 inning, giving up 2 earned runs. Now, that's a little bit of a deceiving line. He obviously allowed the base runners to get on, but Tim Meza was the one who ultimately let both of them come in the bottom of the 8th there. And then Jordan Romano, of course, got the 4-out save, and he looked very, very good and got a huge out in the bottom of the 9th. And a fly out to right field. Any of the bullpen guys impress you today? I was pretty impressed in general with, I guess, Romano. Yimi Garcia and Meza left a little bit to be desired, though.
Yeah, Garcia didn't do poorly. I actually thought his stuff was pretty good. He just got a little unlucky with those batted balls that got put into play, but it's okay. It didn't cost them. Tim Meza was put in a very tough spot and almost got out of it, but thankfully Jordan Romano, steady Eddie, apart from that one outing that he had this year. But I have full faith in him to come in there and shut the door, and that's exactly what he did. He only threw 1 fastball that I could remember off the top of my head. It was slider, slider, slider. You know it's coming, and they still couldn't hit it, albeit against the bottom of the order. But his slider was just filthy today, and he's been unbelievable all season long.
Yeah, and you see his ERA here is 6.75, though it feels like he's been one of our most, I don't want to say dominant relievers, but he's looked very, very good. So sometimes the ERA doesn't tell the entire story, but overall a very good day out of our pitching staff. As we'll move on now into Matt Chapman staying hot. We just want to touch on him before wrapping up the video, and we have a clip to show you in a second about his defense, but we just need to take a minute and appreciate what he's been doing. His average is .415. He's hit home runs in back-to-back games. He's looked just unbelievable on both sides of the ball, and you called it the past few months that he's going to have a career year, but I don't think any of us expected this.
No. And what was our prediction early on in the season? I know what it is, but
6 WAR.
We said 6 wins above replacement for Matt Chapman this season, and I don't know if you guys disagreed with us, because that was a long time ago. That was in our bold predictions before the season started, and we kind of thought it was bold that maybe 4.5, but 6 does not seem out of the question. He's already over 1.3 or 1.2 if I'm not mistaken. He's had a phenomenal start to the year. He's not going to finish the season batting .430 or whatever he is now, but he's just been so good and such a steady presence in the infield as well. He made a couple of nice plays today, and nothing gets me more excited than seeing Matt Chapman fire a ball across the diamond. Like he's just so smooth, and I love when he uncorks those cannon throws. Unbelievable. What a player.
You have no worries about him on the defensive end, and as of now and so far this season, no worries at the offensive end here. And I'll pop up the clip here from Matt Chapman. That's not the right one. Right here, the clip from Matt Chapman. His diving play. What an unbelievable play by Matt Chapman. And it's something that you kind of come to expect at this point, but even when it happens, it's still, I don't know, it's still very, very impressive. And we'll also quickly touch on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and some others. Vlad, like I said, he had the home run. He played very well. And any other things you want to touch up on? We figured we'd give Vlad some shine, considering he's been scuffling a little bit. Some Jays fans were kind of not going at him, but he could tell visibly on the field that Vladdy was frustrated. And it's not something you see very often with him, but the home run put a smile on his face.
Yeah, I mean, scuffling. We say scuffling, but over his last 10 games, he's been hitting .333.
Yeah.
He just hasn't had the extra base hits and the power. That's a big calling card for Vladdy, but he's just such a pure hitter that he doesn't need to hit home runs to be an effective presence in that lineup. But when he is hitting home runs, he's probably one of the best hitters that the game has seen in this generation. So he's so good. It was just a great game. I want to give a shout out to Bo Bichette's defense as well. He's steadily improved from his rocky start of the season. I'm still a little worried every time the ball gets hit in his general direction, but he's made some strides there, and you could tell that he's such a hard worker and he wants to get better, and that it bothers him when he makes errors. So I've liked what I've seen out of him in the past couple of games, and just an overall great bounce back performance. This is the kind of things that you want to see out after a horrible loss. Just a clean game like this, and get moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a good point. Shout out to Bo. He's had a few games now with no errors and no really bad throws, and he had a really good play there, and I believe it was the first inning. But overall, a very good game, and that'll wrap up the video. We have Jose Barrios taking the hill tomorrow, and hopefully he looks to continue building off of his last start. But hopefully we'll see you there for the pregame show. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.